What up? What up? What up? Bankroll 10 bedded up. What do we got here? Uh-oh. Angela Joe. Man, how y'all like this 442? Man, she clean, ain't she? She clean sitting up on them fours. It ain't not no jack dance. Okay, baby, hold on. Okay, let me do the video. But yeah, she's sitting up on them fours, huh? Ooh. She got them Willwood brakes on it. She got that raggedy ass fucking universal carless upper control arm on there. Got that lifted spindle. That bullshit. Don't get me wrong. The guys who did it did a very clean job. You know, they did what they could. It's a very clean car. Stock springs, of course, probably some cups in there. The back, they got the cups, they got the stock springs, they got probably some extended shocks and the control arms. Probably also universal car lifts, which that shit ain't never worked. My opinion, whatever, take it how you want, I don't care. But, so, customer has been waiting a very long time. I know a couple of you guys are probably like, yeah, right. Well, he has. He waited so long that he ended up sending the car somewhere. And they were honest with him. You know, they're honest people. And when they sent him the picture, he was like, nah. So anyways, it's got a 9-inch. They put a 9-inch in it. They did the gear, all that. So that's already all set up. So, with cars like this, any of these cars, the builds gotta have the correct parts. And with having the correct parts, you also gotta have the knowledge to install them correctly. So, as we see here, we have the front spring, front shock, Viking. Got the bearing plates right there to go between there so it turns up easier. Got the back spring, the back shock, all the hardware. Got the installment hardware for the coilovers, for the cross brace. Got the cross brace right there. Got the anti-roll right there. Got the lower control arms, upper control arms. Install kit for the anti-roll bar right there. The install pieces for the control arms. So, with that being said, having all the correct parts and having the correct knowledge to install everything correctly. Spring rates come into play. So you guys out there buying the QA1, level 1, level 2, level 3 kits, this and that, you guys are in and out with stuff that you don't need. You're in and out with the wrong spring rates. You need a custom application. That's what I do. So if you want me to do your car, you contact me and I will give you the list for the parts you get for your car. And I don't do that bolt-in rear coilover stuff. Bolt-ins, no. Welding is where it's at with the cross brace on top. And for a G-body, when you're doing the anti-rolls, plenty of room for G-bodies to have the anti-roll mounted on top the correct way. When you're seeing a bolt-on anti-roll that goes underneath the rear end, I can't do those. I did one on Juan's car, Juan's twin turbo dunk, Mr. 75 Caprice. His, because it had to, there was no other way. That car is so low in the back with the 9-inch, there's absolutely no room above it for an above mount anti-roll as that is right there. So there's no reason a G-body should be going around with under axle mount anti-roll. When the links go up to the frame, they go up to the weakest part of the frame of the car, and it flexes the shit out of that area. Even with the bracket that it comes with being bolted on that area of the frame, that frame is just a weak ass area, it will crack. So anyways, just saying. So, correct parts, correct everything. To correct everything. Got the stock spindles right here. He brought me everything that they took off. Stock control arm, stuff like that. None of this is gonna be used except for the spindles. Obviously this car has a lifted spindle on it. as you can see how high it's sitting. So those spindles will be coming off. These spindles will be going on. These spindles have to be cut for the brackets for the QA1, which, oh look, they started to cut this one. I just noticed that. They cut the top. And I wonder, oh yeah, they cut the top of that one too. So they started to cut them. I think they realized they couldn't get the car as high as they wanted. But car needs, you know, frame notch in the front for full turn. Inner wheel well needs to be trimmed. There's just no way around that stuff. All you guys talking about, oh, this and that, you gotta cut it. You know, somebody could start making patch panels that would go in there after the notch is done, but the notches have to be done right. And I'm the man with the notch, I'll tell you that. Front notches, nobody can touch me. Rear notches, nobody can touch me. Those plastic pieces in front of the wheel right there, they gotta come off. And there's a little strip where the 3 bolts hold that in. That's behind there where the clips go for those bolts. Those 3 bolts right across there, boom, boom, boom. Then you gotta trim that a little bit, so that way when the wheel turns. But I degree the spindles and all that. But all right, y'all, I just wanted to talk about the parts, having the right parts and all that, and showing you this car, because in a couple weeks, you'll see this thing sitting down. And I'll get some pictures of it, so I'll have the pictures of before and after. And I've done it so many times. But anyways, as you can see, yes, Jello Joe, say hi. Yes, Thomas the Train or something. All right, the front of this side, you can see that the top of that wheel is out. That's because of them control arms. And you look at the top of this wheel is in. It's probably in just a little bit more. But anyways, all that will be corrected. But all right, I just wanted to talk about parts. Viking, truck chassis, QA1, all the real shit. Got the 442 back up on the lift. Wrapped it back up with the plastic. Got the ass end taken apart. So, these big ass, bulky ass, single adjustable, universal car lift junk. A lot of guys don't know double and single adjustable. So single adjustable allows you to adjust it, but you have to unbolt it from here, twist it, you know, twist the end out, bolt it back in. So you got to take lots of measurements, this, that, whatever. Double adjustable is adjustment on that side and adjustment on this side. So you crack both jam nuts loose and you can twist the bar. Well, this being a solid joint on this side, you know, there's no way to just turn it. You have to take it off right here. Garbage, straight garbage, trash. This ain't 2002, 2003, 2006. Even back then, double adjustable arms were available. QA1, stuff like that. But we had a lot bigger tires back then. So anyways, look at this big old nasty ass cup. Now, again, the work on the car is beautiful. The guys that did this job did it very, very nice. Everything's nice. I mean, look at how the brake line, you know, they put the holder right there, Allen key, boom, bolted it in, nice. This is just a breather, but still, you know, they made it go up. They made it look good. It's nice, you know. Money well spent on nice, you know. But the 9-inch obviously was ordered. They put it in. This is universal car lifts, which is a lift cut, which is garbage. But I'm cutting this whole thing off of here anyways to put the bracket on here for the coilovers. Taking them uppers out of there. The shocks are a mile long. And see, stock spring. So the, you know, the lift came from just this cup. That's where the lift came from. And then being so high up and on such an angle like this, your rear end doesn't move up and down. The rear end moves backwards and forward. So it makes a wheel hit there or hit back there. So anyways, I'm gonna roll these tubs in a little bit because it's basically the same setup as like the gold Cutlass that I did. The ass end is sit low. It actually has the same exact tire, same exact width in the rim. So I've already done it, so I know how to do it. I'm working with a very clean car. Boom. So I'm gonna be doing the quarter rail notch right here, which I have the videos of it, and I have it on IG, how I slid it, roll it in, trim off the bottom, trim off the top, plate it, and weld it all up and then file it. Grind it so it's smooth, but I know I get weld down in the gaps, but I'll show that too. And anybody that hasn't paid attention, I'll have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 videos on the car as I'm doing it. So, there's no narrow needed. They actually were running a 1/2-inch spacer on here, and I believe they were running the 1/2-inch spacer, which you can see through the wheel right there on the floor, boom, 1/2-inch spacer. They were doing that, I believe, because they were touching right here just a little bit. But of course, I'll take care of that. That'll be off of that, and I'll trim the top lip just a little bit. But I'll have the car sitting right. Kevin's car, the gold Cutlass, I did that a couple weeks back. That one actually sits, I mean, that car sits low as hell all the way around. This one in the back doesn't need to sit all the way down like that. And this car has no sounds in the trunk. So I'll leave it up just a little bit so that way when he puts the sounds in it, and you know, it'll squat down. But it'll have the cross brace getting ready, you know. I'll put the cross brace in here, boom. It'll have the anti-roll, boom. Cutting this stuff off, boom. Have the brackets here, boom. The brakes, look, they never even fully got broken because you really can't drive the car with it sitting up that high. The tires were still touching the fender. And especially with my fat ass in there. Just a little bit, but it didn't hurt nothing. But I will have to trim the fender. On Kevin's car, his car actually cut the fender, rolled it, and put the chrome back on to where it looked like it wasn't even cut. Again, same tire, most likely the same offset. These wheels are sticking out because of the lift spindle. You know, the lifted spindle. Obviously, the spindle shaft sits down there in line with the ball joint, so it has to sit out more. So, got the stock spindles, putting them back on there. Got to cut them, drill and tab them for these brakes to go back on there. The tie rod sleeves, I think I still got to grab those, or I got to set land somewhere. All the other stuff's new. I just saw something drip. It looked like fuel. It is something right there. It's dripping, so I'll check that. Might be oil, might be fuel. I smell a little bit of fuel in there. But anyways, all right, y'all. Letting you know that's what's going on. For 2 right here. Boom. Squared up the rear end. Like I said, my son changed the control arm, so now we got the uppers and the lowers in it. The bolts that were in the uppers on the back side, they had a metric bolt for the car, but the bushing is a 1/2-inch hole because it's a 9-inch. So there was a lot of slop right there. So that wasn't good. And that was the other arms, which are the universal car lifts junk. Don't waste your money on that junk. Big, bulky ass, single adjustable garbage. Anyways, so rear end is squared up. Boom, set the wheel up on here. And we have, what is it, 5 3/4 to the front of the wheel. From back of flange of the wheel out. The wheel is 5 3/4. The car up to there, from here out, is 6 1/2. So it's 3/4 of an inch that it sits under. So I'm gonna trim the upper lip just a little bit. Got to do my notch back here because we put the tire up on here and it's touching. So do this notch, and then like I said, this car's clean. Then I'll be able to do the same thing I did to get Kevin's gold Cutlass. Just sit here and tap, 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 tap with the hammer over and over and over and over and over, and it'll roll. There's no sounds in the trunk, so it's not gonna hurt nothing in the trunk, but it's so solid, it's not gonna break apart. Very little bit right here, which all you're seeing is chunks of undercoating. I don't believe there's any rust holes there, but I'll just tap, 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 tap. The more you tap it, the more heat gets in it as it flexes, and it'll start doing what you want it to do. You don't want to just beat the living shit out of it with a sledgehammer. Nice size hammer, you'll be good. So yeah, the rear end height is basically set for setup. The brackets right there for the coilover, the cross brace is right there, boom. I gotta cut the pockets out up there. And like I'll show you guys. The pocket right there for the shock area gets cut out. Then the bar goes right in that corner of that weld and comes across. G-bodies, the bar goes towards the back. Then the shock tabs come off the front of the bar to come down to the rear end. A lot of these guys are putting the cross brace up here on top in front and running off the back of it. And now look how close. The car is not even all the way down, but there's not much room here. So if you put the cross brace here, I see a lot of cars that the upper control arm is tapping that area, and I've seen it a lot. And then when they're trying to put the anti-roll, like I said, anti-rolls on G-bodies, you got all this room to set it up. And these guys are putting undermounts on there. Doesn't make any sense. Except for knowledge and know-how and custom fabrication. All right, well, that's basically all I got for you today. Everything's dirty because I've been in here grinding. Look at that, Chicago club. Chicago, Chicago, Chicago. You never turn that light back on. Put the cross brace up in the car, like I said I would do. I finished grinding the frame, boom. So as you can see, got that side in, got the little weld. The bar's a little bit higher than the frame, but what I do is I go from the outside of the frame rail in between, you know what I'm saying, on the back side here. I go in and I put a bead across there from the outside. That's how all it is. Like I said, I'm not hiding nothing, you know what I'm saying? That's my welds. Got the brackets on the rear end, got them tacked on. Got the rear end level, square to the car, square to the cross brace. Put the degree wheel on here, so both of them are degree the same, which is 90 degrees. Boom. A little bit of might be maybe a positive one on the pinion angle, which is fine for these back here to be on a little bit more of an angle back. But then, like I'm saying about people, other shops, they put the cross brace forward and then they run the tabs off the back down, but then you run into being so close to here if you're tucking. So this one, obviously, I always put it to the back, and now the tabs that come off the back for the shock to come down to here. More room, and 24, the wheel sits, you can set the wheel closer here. Then if you want to go 26, then you can adjust the rear end back. You know what I'm saying? 26. And then the spring, the coilover will be on a little bit of an angle, but it'll go back. So you can go to a 26 on here if you wanted to, but 24s are perfect on G-bodies. But yeah, as you can see, all the time it took to grind that. Like I said, I cut the spring perches that they had on here. Cut those off, which they come stock with them, but these braces right here, I've never seen a rear end with these braces. So I mean, they might have came like that, or somebody else added the braces due to having these big ass spring cups on there for that big ass lift, that big weak ass, bullshit lift. But yeah, so a little closer on the 442. This Cutlass done. Look at that squat, y'all. Got that Carolina squat. Oh man, been waiting all day to do this. Got the frame rails notched in the back. Got suspension all in there. Anti-roll is all in there. Nothing is tight yet. This is the first time I set the car down. Decided to throw the wheels back on the front. Yes, the front is still coming down. I just haven't had the time yet. Haven't started on the front yet, but I wanted to check the height of the back and all that in this. So in the back, I got the 9-inch double adjustable uppers and lowers. So the height I can still, adjust right there. I notched the rear part of the frame, quarter rail notch. You guys have seen that before. Viking coilovers. This car, every time I measured it, up in the air, rear end level, made the car the same height. There was an inch, half-inch difference. I couldn't figure out why. So this side of the car on the back is the half-inch higher. Now if we go over here, which I mean the springs ain't totally set yet, but this is before putting all the springs and everything in it. You see the heights over here. So the inner tubs, let me take that back. All the body bushings are replaced on the car. The car's been totally redone. This body bushing back here, right behind the left tire, it had a plate of steel on top of it. So that made the body sit higher on the frame. So the gap that's on the tub behind the wheel right there, there's a bigger gap on this side than there is on the passenger side. So with both springs being set at the same height right now, the back is a 1/2 inch off. So what I'll end up doing is, since there's the anti-roll, I will preload the passenger spring a little bit. So I'll go down one more hole on the brackets, the lower coilover brackets, the adjustable. I'll go down one more hole on that. That'll give you my height. This car does not have sounds in it, no sounds in the trunk. But I'll be able to split that difference right there and even the car out. Then I'll readjust the anti-roll so it holds the car level. Not exactly sure what it's gonna do to the front of the car yet until I get the front done. But so many of these cars, when I'm working on them, I find things that just don't add up. I'm like, why? What? You know, this and that. Double checking this, double checking my measurements, but this car, I figured out what it was, and I didn't notice it when I was doing the passenger side. I noticed it today when I was doing this quarter rail notch on this side. So, with that being said, this car is one day closer. One day closer. I busted my ass all day today doing these notches in the back. Sat in the rear end. It's got a nice gap right there from, you know, the front to the back, but it's all good. So, quick video again. Always doing the quick videos. I know y'all love that. Look at that height. Woo! And you know, it's got that positive camber. Look at that. We're leaning out, bow-legged, whatever you want to call it. But look at that from here on the back. Let's get that front out the equation. Boom. Look at that. Look how nasty it gets in here. But yeah, you can see how that is totally different back there. So, and the front could be throwing some shit off right now, but I know the body itself, the inner tubs, when you fix those body mounts in the back, you always fix them both the same. So I don't know, maybe somebody missed it. I'll show another video of that tomorrow or something like that. But all right, y'all, 442, getting it. With these 24s on here and that beautiful stock interior. Oh, bucket seats. I don't really like the shifter, but it's all right. Stock stereo, y'all. So, got these lifted spindles, BS. Got these upper control arms, BS. Got them damn lift cups down in there, BS. So, normally when I take this shit apart, I know I'm getting right into this. I'll take my stand, my red stands. See the red stand right there, boom. I'll put it underneath the control arm, and then I'll be able to take this off. All right, the ball joint separated. Normally knock it with the hammer, boom, it pops out. But the cars have a little bit of pressure, makes the car come up off the lift, just a little bit. But because this has got so much pressure with that cup, I ain't playing games with that shit. You know what I'm saying? So, we are in an era now where lift cups are straight bullshit. These upper control arms, these are straight bullshit. These were made and they have the same exact geometry and location, ball joint, upper control arm area. All they did was make them a little bit longer, but that causes you, when you put these on, these universal bullshit, that you gotta shim the shit out of the back of here to bring it in. Then it makes the plate hit the frame, the ball joint plate. This shit's just made wrong, completely wrong. It's been wrong since day one. People need to stop spending their money on the BS. So, lift the spindles. Lift the spindles. I could see, like, if you still want to ride kind of high, like 8s on a Gbody, the lifted spindle is taller from here to the bottom ball joint location, but it brings the wheel, see, normal ball joint location, normal shaft would be up here some. So it's like a 3.5, maybe 4 lift the spindle. But it brings your front wheel out an inch. But when you're going higher, you do want to go out some, whatever. But in this case, it didn't need this. The spindles are okay. They did drill and tab them for the wheel with brakes. And I think they machined the back of the caliper a little bit, because see that? It's got a fresh machine mark to make it fit on here perfect. So these plates are still getting transferred to the old spindles. So that's the right bolt for the old spindle, but this one is not. So now I think I'm gonna have to grab a set of these, which I have another kit here that I can borrow from to get the car done and out of here. Boom. So it's kind of a negative. All right, so you're probably wondering why the heat marks. Well, that's what those are, is heat marks. I took my propane torch, the yellow one, because the yellow one's the hot. It's a lot hotter than the blues or the reds. So I heated the spring because I want to take it out without any pressure. As you can see, the ball joint, just by unloosening it, is already coming off. So if I'd have left all that pressure in there and twisted this, when it popped apart, you could take some fingers off, you could fuck your hand up. I ain't got time to lose these. These are my money makers. So for any of you guys out there, you want to take this apart because of the spring cup and all the pressure, you heat the spring. So if you heat right here where this heat ring is, it's going to collapse the opposite side on the other side, and then you heat here, vice versa. Heat here, it's going to, you know, collapse directly from the heat mark. So you could actually bring, like, let's say you got a car that sits a little too high in the front and you want to bring it down some. You could heat the spring to bring it down some, you know. But anyways, point is, spring cups, get the fuck out of here. Bullshit. These upper control arms, junk. QA1 is the leader in tubular upper and lower control arms for the front of any car. They have better geometry. They already ready to spindle back some, the ball joint locations, shit like that. Number one set of control arms out there is QA1. So, information for everybody. 442, boom. I'm trying to get this front end apart. So now I got the spring loose enough to where I can pop it apart, and I'm not gonna have to worry about it taking my fingers off or jacking me up. So, Bankroll 10, bedded up. I'm busting on this. One more thing, I gotta do this frame notch, but as you can see, look at the frame. Why is it bent out like this? This is from tow truck guys. Tow truck guys take their hook and put it in the frame, and I'm not saying it's a bad spot. It's a good spot, but they over tighten cars. When they over tighten it, they bend the shit out of the frames. So, here we go again. Look right here. That's bent. That's from a tow hook, from a tow truck. When you guys have a tow truck pick up your cars and shit like that, and you're there, you just make sure to be like, hey man, don't over tighten it. I know some of them probably be like, I know what I'm doing. Just be like, hey, it's my pride and joy. Got a lot of money in it. Please don't over tighten it. I don't want my frame bent or nothing. You know, they just gotta snug it. The car's in park, so you snug it down and you watch the car when you're traveling. But anyways, all right, y'all, Bankroll 10, trying to get these fitted on here at a nice height. I have to do the frame notch, so I gotta trim the plastic, all that, you guys know. But I'll film that. They had put this tab on here real nice on the brake line, so I gotta cut this tab off the back, which I think they only got a couple tacks on there, but I'll work at it, I'll get it off, and then I'll tag it back on because my notches, you know, go up into here. So I'll put this tab like right back over here. But all right, y'all, Bankroll 10, bedded up. Oh yeah. The back of the car is 100%, all adjusted, all tightened up. Excuse me, it's not 100% because the other two lugs ain't on there. But yeah, it's all set up. Anti-roll, boom, everything's tightened, everything's adjusted. The shocks are set. Anti-roll, yeah, boom. Upper, lower, double adjustable control arm. All that shit's jammed. Boom. I did the trim on the top right there, as you can see. It's a little rough right here with the paint. I took the soft wheel to it, but I mean, it's not that sharp. Excuse me. Same thing to this side. Boom. I had to center the rear end because the rear end was a little bit to the passenger side. But that's all centered. Got the same gap. Both sides right there. It sits down good to where when he, like I said, the trunk is empty, he'll be able to put some sounds in it and it'll sit right where he wants it to sit. So, there it is. Back rim is 24 by 10, 11 inches overall. Again, I'm tucking a little bit, which it will tuck more. No tub work except for that little finesse in the back and a little finesse in the front. I didn't beat the shit out of it and put big ass dents in it. I finessed it. But quarter rail notch, boom. A 7-inch lip would go on here just by narrowing the rear end and reclocking the rotors, because you can make the difference up, because the rim from outside to inside still sits in the same spot, just the center goes in. So a lot of you guys out there really don't need a Tubb in the back with a 24 if you have a shop that knows what the hell they're doing. And if you use a billet wheel, billet wheels are, you know, you can get them 24 by 9, which would make it 10 overall. So then it'd definitely clear, and then you'd still need a narrow maybe if you go, you know, fatter lip. But a basic offset should fit on there and clear way more. And you could possibly get away without doing the back little quarter rail notch. So just a little more info for you. This car, obviously, I got the stands in the front, a little bit of pressure on them. I know the car's level, I know the lift's level, everything, so that way when I cut all this open, like I did, as you can see, there's some wires in here. I'm not exactly sure what it's for, but I did nick them. So I'm gonna put some heat shrink over them, and that'll be black by the time I'm done. But anyways, I'll put some heat shrink over them. I didn't realize they were there when I was cutting this plastic, which I cleaned this up with a soft grinder anyways. The e-brake goes here. You have to get rid of the e-brake cable. The work that gets done right here. I have the bottom part basically cut here. This is cut, boom. The plate is out, the plate is right there. The slits are here. I rolled that in, and then I still got this big chunk right here I gotta cut out. The top is not cut yet at all, as you can see. Boom. So I'll go through here and I'll cut the top, but I'll set the plate in here about where I want it, and I'll figure out exactly. And then if I take off a little bit at a time, or big chunks with the cutoff wheel, but then I grind it with the grinder, and I'll get my curve this way in it. You know what I'm saying? The curve like this. So yeah, that's what I'm working on, the 442. Trying to get it done, get it out of here. Today is Wednesday, I think. Hopefully by the weekend I can have this thing done and out of here. See this side over here. I did the cut of the plastic. This car's got a small block Chevy in it, so I'm pretty sure the computer harness wires ain't there, but I still gotta trim this up a little bit higher. So you gotta watch the wires behind there when you're trimming these out. But this thing, same thing. I'll go through and cut this open. Gotta cut that off, boom. I'm still gonna make my cut there. I do this for me. It doesn't weaken it. People think it weakens it, and if it does weaken it, it would be like if you had a crash, it would fold easier. So it'd be like a crush endpoint, a crush area. But that's my trademark of notching that out, so that way you can see the coilover and all that. You spend all that money on the coilovers, might as well be able to see them through the wheel and all that. But yeah, back is 100%. Again, just missing 2 lug nuts on each side. We'll have that done. Trying to get this front end 100, which I got the control arms on it. The notch is done. The paint is on there. Welded the tab back on for the brake. Got a little bit of overspray on this. I'll clean it up with a scuff pad. I'll clean it up real fast. Clean up. See, a little bit on the braided, you know. Get a scuff pad and clean up. Got the coilover in there. Boom, I gotta tighten up everything, you know. Upper bolts, like I said, I go through and I weld them in, because once you break the splines on the back side of them, when you take them out, sometimes you can't fit the arm in there because the steering shaft or something would be in your way. But anyway, so I weld the bolts in, so that way when I adjust the other side, this side don't spin, because it's a motherfucker when you're trying to hold this side with a ratchet and a socket and do that side, and when you're trying to align it. But anyways, when these come loose, you know, it knocks shims out if these are not pressed in. That was the whole purpose of them in the beginning, when they were made to be, had that spline on there and be pressed in there. But once you take them out, you know, it spins the splines. But anyways, I weld them in, then it's easy to adjust. If one was to break later on down the road, which, I mean, it's not going to, but you know, you can cut it out, put a new bolt in it, but it's not gonna happen. As long as your suspension works right, you ain't gonna have the problems. Lower control arm. This is the new style, uppers and lowers of 2A1. You know, they got the single ball joint, how it screws in. It's got 2 knobs up here. This is your base set. The next step up is Pro Touring, which has a longer, 1-inch longer ball joint, so it gives you more alignment ability and stuff like that. This car being 4s, I had him order a 550 spring. I was probably just doing too much. It should have had a 450 spring. Kevin's car, the gold Cutlass, has got a 450 spring in it. But I do remember I turned him up a pretty good amount. So this having the 550 spring, that car was a V6 car. This car is a small block Chevy in it with steel heads, I think. Maybe it does have aluminums. I don't know, even if it's got aluminums, whatever. It's more weight, so when I set it down, it might sit at the exact height I want it. It might be a pinch high for it being 4s, but I think it's gonna be fine. But yeah, that's a A224 shock. This insert down here, it's a 1/2-inch bolt, but that insert that's in the bottom of the Viking shocks are 5/8. So you got to get these little sleeves that go in there to make the 1/2-inch, make the 5/8 hole a 1/2-inch hole for the 1/2-inch bolt, because these arms are 1/2-inch bolt. But yeah, that's the new style. The old style had bolt-in plates in the bottom. If you watch my videos, you know this is the new style. The other ones had a 4-bolt, a stock ball joint would bolt into this area. I take out the stops because with bigger wheels, the stop would hit, you know, that rubber stop would hit a lot sooner, which would cause the travel. And when you go down the road, it'd be like bouncy. But anyways, the spindles, boom. Forgot to paint them the other day. I just painted them a little bit ago. They dried. It's got that same look that the whole frame and everything's got. Like I said before, somebody had started to cut them for the brackets. We need the brackets off those liquid spindles to put on here. So I'm gonna have to drill and tap this hole. I still gotta cut this right. And then this hole down here, the bolt that's on that one is a metric bolt or something. They don't bolt into here. Like I was saying, it's a different bolt. See how it's black-headed bolt. Boom. It's smaller. So I'm gonna have to tap this spindle to fit that, because I don't have the other ones. Or I'll take the other ones out of another set of brakes. All right, here's this side. This side's got this light behind me on it, so a lot more visible. I like the way that this side came out more than that side, but this side was bent real bad right here from a tow hook, so I was trying to straighten out this area. Oh, I got some dirt in there right there. Anyways, while with the tab on there, so clean this up, boom. 550 spring, boom. I gotta bolt that up, boom, boom. Tops welded in. The bolts, boom. I did trim both fenders. And he knew that it had to be trimmed, so it's trimmed. See how it's not, I didn't just whack it off like that. It got a little curve to it, which it didn't need. It probably needed to come down a little more. But that's the first trim. I degreed the spindles back. So when I degree the spindles back, you know, I'll put the shims in there. So we're gonna see exactly where it sits, and then I'm gonna measure my alignment setup. So anyways, being Saturday, and how much work I got done to this thing, pretty good. And as you can see, guys, very, very messy. I'm gonna be burning my arms up and shit. Yep, burning my shit up. And I got a set of sleeves, so yeah. I wore them, but then I didn't wear them and burned my shit up. But anyways, that's where we're at. Harness wheel, boom, forged. But yeah, so 442 is very, very close. Tomorrow, Sunday, I will come in and I will get this front end bolted together. But most of the time it's going to take is this, drilling that, tapping that, and then figuring out what tab I need for down there, and cut those ears and shit off to get those on there. But I should be able to set it down tomorrow. And then the 442 across the street had them wet it up real fast. I tried to go to the gas station one last night, and the driver's door didn't seal up too good, so I didn't want to get the inside of the man's car soaked. So, brought it across the street here. I know you guys are watching my videos, you see it in the background. They be detailing the cars over here like a motherfucker. So, brought it over here. As you can see, she clean. She had just that little bit of dust on it where it got underneath the plastic in the couple days that I didn't have it covered. But this baby got full turn. Went to the gas station, put a full tank of fuel in it. Dude said he only's gonna put 212s and an amp back there, so really ain't gonna squat it much more than that. But it took what, 13 gallons of fuel, and it still rides exactly the same as it did when it went to the gas station. But you can see she looking good. She looking real good. Yeah, it's got that nice little tuck on there, you know. I mean, I don't see why you need more tuck than that. Wheels up underneath there. And again, no tubs. This car is not mini tubbed. I had to finesse the back part of the tub on that side and finesse the tub on that side just a little bit, but I centered the wheel up and the wheel well pretty good to where if I would have went farther more, I would have had to finesse the tub, you know, inside there more. And if I would have went back more, which you wouldn't know because you wouldn't want the wheel back that far. But as you can see, that wheel is in a nice spot. The calipers clear the frame. There's no narrow to this car. I think the lip is like a 5-inch lip, but this car you could put a 7-inch lip on it, just like excuse me, just like Kevin's car, the gold Cutlass I did a couple weeks ago, and the black 442. The black 442 is actually narrowed with a 7 or 8-inch lip on it. So this car here, all you'd have to do is narrow it and clock the end for the caliper to go down, and 7-inch lip would go right on this car, and the wheel would sit in the same spot because the width of the wheel is the same width. A lot of guys don't understand that. So when you're putting 24s on G bodies, as long as you keep that wheel as skinny as possible in the back, you just need a quarter rail notch and a little tub work. You don't need to fully mini tub it. So these places that are telling you, oh, got a mini tub, oh, got to do this, oh, got to do that, I don't do all that. Meaning I can do all that, but there's just no point in it. Perfect tuck right there. Anti-roll, ties the back of the car together side to side, and that allows the ass end to go straight up, straight down. Doesn't lean, so the tire don't get up in there and rub the outer tub. But yeah, it's like I said, it's got a small block Chevy in it. I noticed before the door is a little off, so I think the door needs to be realigned. But I see stuff like that where anybody else don't see anything like that. Trim the fenders that little bit, which you can see. You know, it doesn't look all gaudy like it's hacked off. You know, too much forward. This tire's a fatter tire. Like I said, that's what I was saying on the rims. When you look at that tire, same tire as the back. Front rim's a little skinnier, so it's squared up. Then if you look at the back, you can see that the tire is in a little more because the rim is fatter, so you know it stretches it. So the front of this car, if you wanted to do this style like this, you go with a 255/25/24, which is a way smaller tire, and it would keep you from having to cut the fender as much, and it would clear more, and you could ride a little bit lower on the front. Still would need a sport steering, stuff like that. This one I ended up putting 3 shims, 2 fat shims and a thin shim on the upper part of the back control arm to degree it back. So with it being degreed back, alright, so with degreeing the spindle back like this, moves the wheel back, and then when it turns, it gives it a sport steering, so it tucks and misses the cuts. That's why you'll see my cars don't have big nasty cuts like other people's cars. Does not touch nowhere near back there at all. It's a beautiful car. Loved working on it. Dude was supposed to pick it up today after 6, but just hit me up and said he can't get it until Friday at about 10 in the morning. And I normally don't get to the shop till about 12, 2 o'clock. So anyways, but there it is, 442 Gbody, all hooked up. Coilovers, front and back, QA1 control arms, front, trick chassis rear, double adjustable control arms, trick chassis rear anti-roll bar, and it's all set up. custom. It's all custom. I'm not a parts changer, and if I do change something as a parts changer, I do it custom. All right, y'all. Bankroll 10, fat it up. There it is. She done. She about to go bye-bye. Appreciate y'all. I'm out.